All right, so thank you all for coming and being here. I really appreciate your time. I don't think it's going to be too terribly long, maybe like 15 minutes or something. I'm just going to kind of run you through the client journey, basically. So exactly what it takes from beginning to end, kind of where you start, and then you end up all happy and stress-free, sort of the goal. So yeah, so this whole thing is just how to reduce your financial stress in 9 steps or less. And the 9 steps is the client journey. So it's like, it's where you start and then where you end up at the end and exactly how you get there and how I kind of walk you through it. So here we go. So step 1 is being stressed out and unsure where to start. So this is where most of my clients are. It might be where some of you are today. And I think it's based on a few different like common misconceptions like that I've listed here, like it's too expensive, you deal with it later, you don't need it right now, it's probably not that important, it's going to take a really long time and I don't have time. I don't want to have to go to a solicitor's office and sit in somebody's office and like be talked at across a desk, or it's going to be really emotional and or hard to think about. Some people come to me after they've seen somebody and gotten a quote and it was like ridiculously expensive and they're like, right, I can't afford that. And then they just never revisit it or look at it again. So there's all kinds of places where you can, where you sort of start. And then you get in touch with me. So if you're here, then you're at step 2. Congratulations. So you can always do like one of these webinars. There's also loads of videos on my website. Like if you like to do sort of your research ahead of time, which I'm one of those people that likes to research everything to death. But you can also get in touch with me and I'll send you some sort of basic information over if that's all you want. But we can also have a consultation as well. So step 3 is just getting some basic information and then scheduling a follow-up. So if you get in touch with me and say you're interested in looking at wills, LPAs, just estate planning in general, trust, whatever it is that you're interested in, I'll send you over some basic stuff based on our initial talk. So that'll be an information sheet like this one that's on your screen about the role of an executor, but there's also different ones on like the role of guardian, why you need a will, what power of attorneys are for. And then I also send over a checklist, which is called like a pre-appointment fact find. You don't need to fill it out. It's just an editable PDF, but it just states like all the information that you would need to provide me with or that you would need to know and decide on when you write your will. So I need like your name, date of birth, address, and stuff like that. And then the same for any of your appointments. So for your executors, reserve executor, guardian, reserve guardian, beneficiaries, reserve beneficiaries, all those, which I help you with. And then things like if you're an organ donor, if you have a preference of burial versus cremation, if you have any sort of specific funeral requests, charities that you'd like to donate to, any specific family heirlooms you want to leave to anybody. And it's all just in one sheet, so you can just look at it and say, right, I have this sheet, these are the things that I need to decide on and know, and that's what Cece's going to ask me when we have our follow-up appointment. That also gives you time if you're in a relationship or if you have somebody else to consider in your planning, that you can actually sit down and look at this thing and say, right, this is what we need to talk about and decide on. Because I think without having a sort of base of knowledge to start from, it can be, I don't know, it can be daunting to even sit down and talk about it, which kind of goes back to step 1. I'm interested to know if any of you have ever sort of looked into any of this before or kind of know any of the basic information about like what you would need to include in your will or like what the appointments mean, if you've like ever asked or known about any of that stuff. I'm just always curious like where people are in their journeys. So I'd love to know if you want to just like pop it in the comments in the chat box, I think it's called, yeah, in the chat function, you can tell me. Okay, step 4 is we go over your specific concerns and your specific options. So I just want to check and make sure, yeah. So Every single family is different. Every single person is different. And so everyone's needs are different. Um, Sarah says she's only know what we talked about or the webinar I've done before. Okay, that's fine. I'm all about the sort of like spreading information. That's like the whole point of these things and all the videos and stuff I do. So that's great, Sarah. So there's really no kind of one size fits all thing. I mean, there's things like the standard will, mirror will, stuff like that, but it's not everything that's included in that planning is different for each person because kids are different ages or families are blended or whatever. Maybe there's like a remarriage or you know what I mean, there's all sorts of different things, so there's all sorts of different reasons like why you're making your will and things that you're worried about. So someone has said, had one when I lived overseas, but before husband and children. Yeah, so again, life circumstances change. And so there's going to be different reasons why you would want to make one now versus when you had one then. So maybe your main thing is you have kids and you just want to make sure that you name a guardian for them. Maybe you're at the point where you have grandkids or you're worried about care fees. So there's all sorts of different motivations. So what I do is we just have a conversation. I just get to know you a little bit, figure out what you're worried about and what your situation is. And then I provide you with specific recommendations and any additional information by email. So then you have it there in black and white. You can look at it. Obviously, we can have a phone call or another video call or whatever if you have any questions. I'm always available every step of the way to answer any questions you have. And then I'll send you more of those information sheets, like the one that I showed of the executor. So if I send you over some stuff that's like, okay, so you've told me that your situation is your husband and wife, you have a couple of kids, you're worried about marriage after death, and you're worried about what would happen if you lost capacity. So I recommend to you wills, distributing to trusts, and a couple of LPAs. And then I'll sort of outline that all, give you the cost breakdown and all of that stuff, and then any relevant information sheets. And then if you have any questions off the back of that, then you come back to me and I'll answer them. So it's all about me figuring out what you need and then providing you with those recommendations. Then you asking me any questions if you have any or telling me what you want to do. It's all about you. So once you're happy, that's step 6. You place your order. Ta-da! You tell me what you want to go with based on my recommendations. I say, cool, great, amazing. I'll go ahead and start doing your instructions. If I need any sort of additional information along the way, then I'll let you know. And these can be more specific things like, in lieu of flowers, would you like donations to be made to a charity? Like quite specific things that the answer might just be, no, Cece, no, I don't care. Or that might be more specific, like somebody that I worked with who was super eco-friendly and minimalistic in that way. And she wanted to make sure that her funeral was eco-friendly. So that was a little bit more kind of legwork in the funeral request section, making sure that I reflected that, which is absolutely fine to do. We want you to be happy at the end of the day. But then what's great is once I have all of that information, I'll send you over summaries. So I'll send you that by email as well. And that just basically, so is no like jargon. It's no like complicated bequeath and all of those, all of those crazy words. It's regular human words and regular language, and it's all in black and white. So it says your name, your address, date of birth and all that stuff, and then the same for your appointments, and then how you want your will structured, how you want your trust structured, how your LPA is written, and who your attorneys are, whatever it is that you're getting. It's all written out in black and white, so you can very easily look at it and say, yeah, this is right, yeah, this is right. Oh, Cece, there's a typo on this postcode, whatever the case may be. Or if you just see it in black and white and you're like, actually, that looks a little bit funny. I don't think that I'm super happy with that, and I want to change who I appointed to do this thing. Or actually, I have a question. Can my kids inherit 25% of their inheritance when they're 21, and then the other 75 when they're 25? Things like that. that pop up when you actually see it in black and white. So I think this is really important, just to kind of have everything written out so you can take it and look at it at your own pace. So then once you're happy and you've said, yep, I approve that, that's good, that's exactly what I want it to look like, I'm happy with that, go ahead, then I start drafting your documents, and then you get to relax. And I've used a picture of Harley here sleeping because this is the most like apt thing for relaxation I could possibly think of, is her just little face buried in the pillows. Oh, we've got someone new just joining us. Hello there. Okay. So yeah, then we'll move on to step 8. Your documents are delivered and signed. So in the olden days of normality, I would I would go visit you, maybe have somebody else with me, or you'd have someone else there, and we would sign your documents and do all of that stuff, have them witnessed and everything, all at the same time, and be done. In this new normal, I'm not going to say unprecedented because it just fuels me with rage. People say it so much now, I absolutely cannot stand the word. So in the new normal, I will post your documents to you. This is actually, I haven't had any issues from any clients like that have said they've had any problem with this, either sort of just like, you know, they'll invite some people over who will just kind of like stand at their front garden and just distance witness signing, or like over the garden fence, or whatever the case may be, so you can still have your documents witnessed. It's just not me coming out to do it. But I also include loads of instructions in there on exactly how to sign your will document, how to sign your trust document, how to sign your LPA, whatever. And if you have any questions once you get it, then you just ring me. It's quite a common theme. And then you can opt for secure storage, or you can keep your originals. It's up to you. I think there's sort of reasons that you might want to do either one. But just make sure that if you do keep your originals, that you know where they are and that other people know where they are. In the webinar that I did a couple of weeks ago, somebody had said, yeah, I definitely have a will, but I've got no idea where it is. And it's sort of one of those things that's like, if a tree falls in the forest and nobody's around to hear it, like, did it really fall? Like, if you die without a will but nobody can find it, then you might as well not have one. So if you opt to keep on hold of it, then just make sure that you know where it is. And then step 9 is I send you a sparkly card in the post and say thank you, and make sure that you have everything that you need, and maybe like call you and bug you too, because we get to know each other quite well during this process, and it just kind of like, it's just nice. So it's not really, that's why I say 9 steps or less, because technically you're not really taking the last couple of steps, but it still counts anyways. So I've just put some testimonials in here of what people have said before, and really the common theme is just that people feel better. They just feel better. They feel less stressed to have gotten everything done. So like Vicky said, I can now sleep better at night knowing that everything is in order, because she wanted to protect her husband and her 2 children. And Catherine has said that she makes that I make the whole process far less scary than it needs to be, which I really appreciate it, and was kind of one of the things that drove me to do this webinar, because I just wanted to sort of demystify it and say, actually, this is the process, and it's not maybe as hard or difficult or complicated or scary as you thought that it might be. So this is all my contact information. Feel free to screenshot this if you're on your phone, or take a picture of it if you want to get in touch with me. But I think you should have gotten like an email. I don't know if it had my contact details anyways, but I have all your contact details, and I'll send you out an email and just say like, thank you for coming and all that. And then if you need to get in touch with me off the back of that, you can. And now you can ask me any questions that you might have. I know I kind of went through everything, but I think I answered everybody in the chat. So yeah, does anybody have any questions?